From Sigma Woman, this is the Business for Aligned Women podcast. I'm your host, Clara McKay, your aligned business coach and advocate for all things showing up for your vision. This is a no BS space for brave-hearted women who are actually craving change. I'm dedicated to bringing women's visions into reality, equipping women with all they need to build an abundant future, and shutting down all of the ways that you keep yourself small. Here, we're all about a women-centered approach, non-negotiable value alignment, and making bank without compromising your well-being. Each week, you're already one step closer to your most aligned and abundant future. Today's episode is for all the multi-passionates, the multi-hyphenates, or the beautiful creative women who have so many ideas and don't know what to do with them. This episode is for me. I'm saying it for myself. One of my biggest issues this year has been I have so many ideas, little energy, because I am a sensitive soul. I do not run on huge amounts of energy, despite human design saying that I should. And also, I have so many ideas, I'm not sure where to direct them and how to divvy up my time and my energy. So today's episode is just as much for me as it is for you. So I'm going to share you some things that I know help me and have helped my clients. Hopefully we both end up in a better place after today's episode, and just know that I have a lot of compassion for this and I feel for you. And it's really important to honor that you are a creative person, and it's amazing that you have so many great ideas, and to just take it one step at a time and do the things that you can. And just an aside on this, I know that something that affects me in this is that I was raised really poor. So I didn't have a lot of resources and I didn't have a lot of options. And now that I'm at a point in my life where I have a lot of resources and all the options, it can be a bit bamboozling and a bit bewildering because you've just never been there. And it's a beautiful and a perplexing feeling to have everything you need and know that the only thing that needs to happen is you in order for these ideas to come into fruition. So that's where I'm at, and that's something that affects me in this, and I feel like some of you might resonate with that. Before we get into it, as I said last week, I'm booking out final coaching calls, final coaching intensives for 2024. So if you listen to this episode, these podcasts every week, and you've been wanting to work with me and you want to make it happen this year, please book a call to chat with me about it. I did get some feedback from a client today who said that she felt like she had saved 7 years doing a 10-week coaching intensive with me, and that she actually thought that after that 7 years, she probably still wouldn't know what she was doing. So it's really big timeline jumping doing these intensives, and we do a lot of collaborative work. It's not just me telling you what to do. Everything's value-based for your values. And before we get into it, it's going to be really relevant today in one of the points that I'm talking about, that I have a tool which is my yearly business notion planner, and using that planner is one of the hacks I have for having too many ideas. It's really affordable, it's really quick, infinitely duplicable. So if you buy it once, you can use it forever, every single year. And it's one of the hacks that will help me when I have too many ideas floating around. 3 hacks for when you have way too many ideas and probably also way too many interests that you're trying to do a big yucky collage of and call it a business. And the first one is to really separate which interests are personal and which interests are business. And a really simple way to do that is doing viability research, which means actually doing some research to find out if you could make money off of that. And it's a very, very heartbreaking experience when I work with people who are wedded to an idea that's not financially viable, but I know it will never make them money. And they come back to me a year later, 2 years later, and they go, okay, I'm ready to change the idea now because it hasn't made any money. There are certain industries and certain offers that it doesn't make sense, and it just is never going to be highly profitable. So thinking about that with each of these ideas, if your interest or your idea, you're thinking about putting it in your business, asking yourself, will it actually make money? For some things, for instance, you might be doing them not to make money, but as a way of connecting people or building community. And that's perfectly fine and great. And I do that all the time. But you need to go into that with that expectation. And that's where I see things get a bit wobbly. People go, oh, I'm doing it to build community. But they're just saying that because they're people pleasing. And what they actually want is income. And they're usually people who are really struggling and have no money. And if you're going into something saying, I'm doing it to build community, and you expect it to give you money, but it's not designed to do that, you're in an uphill battle and it's not going to be pretty at the end of it. The next one, which relates to my yearly business notion planner, and this is really probably the biggest help for me as someone who has like 27 new ideas a month and like 30 that are on the works at the moment and 5 other businesses that they want to be starting, is planning a minimum of 12 months ahead to specifically reduce that shiny carrot syndrome. And when you start doing proper 90-day marketing launches and you are taking proper holidays in your year, there's truly not that much time left to have new products and new ideas. And I would say if you're going to make money, you can't be doing introducing more than 3 new things a year. Now, people might introduce like new collections of the same product. That's fine. But whole new ideas or services, they're not going to land if you're doing more than 3 a year. And so actually plotting that out and plotting out your 90-day marketing campaigns before you're offering that, it really can keep you on track. And another trick for this is, again, getting outside of your own perspective and going into the perspective and the experience of your target market. Because of a lot of us, we can assume that people need a certain thing or they want a certain thing, or I often see that people need a certain thing, but if they don't know that they need it or they don't want it, they're not going to buy it. So really making sure that those ideas are in alignment with that target market and it makes sense for their life and it fits into them, and they're going to feel really heard and understood by that product. And that will stop you from jumping into every single new idea that you have, because you have a plan. And what then happens is those ideas go on a list and they get considered for next year. And I'm sure if you've been in business for a while, you've seen how quickly the years go. So I know that might sound uncomfortable for someone who's got a lot of ideas and is kind of brimming with creativity. But once you get into it, the years go so quickly, and then you'll be up to that new idea again next year. And my last tip for this, which is something that I feel very passionate and like very lovingly about this, and it's just to remind you that some things really deserve to be kept sacred and don't need to be part of your business, and you don't need to make a product around them, and you don't need to talk about them or share them on social media, and you're allowed to have sacred things in your life. I know, especially if you like want to have a personal brand, it feels like you're not, but even if that's what you're doing, there are certain parts of your life that aren't up for public scrutiny, and they shouldn't be, and they don't need to be. And there are some things that you can really love and really enjoy, and they don't need to be shared with the world. They don't need to be a public offering. They can be kept sacred. I would love to hear how you feel about this. And if you're someone who has tons of ideas, let me know if these tips have helped you. Give me a message in the DMs. I would love to chat about it. If you can't tell, getting to share this time with you is something that I find truly sacred. I know that you're busy, but if you've taken anything away from our time spent together today, could you extend the love and share this episode with a friend, your community, or on your socials? Tag me so that I can see it and I can share it too. Or when you have a spare moment, leave the podcast a review. These things cost you nothing and will mean so much to me. Let's get this resource into the hands of more women visionaries and help us collectively move towards our most aligned way of being and doing business together.